Have you ever wondered if the weather could be predicted by the world around you? From the woolly worm's stripes to the calls of crows, age-old wisdom has passed down fascinating tales of nature's weather signs. But is there truth to these old wives' tales? Let's explore the surprising ways nature may be giving us clues about the future. From the beginning of time, humans have looked to the natural world for signs of what's to come. Old wives' tales and folklore passed down through the generations, often dismissed as superstition, have an uncanny way of foretelling the future. But could some of these age-old sayings hold a grain of truth? Today, we explore the fascinating world of folklore and weather prediction, uncovering the truth behind old wives' tales that might just help you prepare for what's ahead. While some dismiss these stories as mere superstition, others believe there's wisdom to be found in these ancient beliefs. If you enjoy learning about these fascinating traditions, be sure to like this video and subscribe to Buckeye Bloomstead, where we explore gardening, DIY, and the natural world. Let's start with the woolly worm. This old wives' tale comes from the Native Americans, the Cherokee Indians. According to Cherokee tradition, one small creature holds the key to winter's mysteries, the woolly worm. They say the stripes on this little caterpillar predict the severity of the upcoming season. More black than orange means a cold and harsh winter is coming. But if orange dominates, the winter ahead will be milder. Surprisingly, many have noted that these little worms' predictions often seem to align with the weather patterns that follow. Coincidence? Or could there be something more? As we continue our journey through nature's weather predictors, let's not forget the creatures that live closest to us, our pets. Some say that even cats have a way of sensing shifts in the weather. According to folklore, cats are sensitive to weather changes. When they groom themselves frequently, it's said that rain is on the way. Some believe that cats can feel the change in barometric pressure before a storm, making them restless or leading to increased grooming. While this might seem far-fetched, many pet owners have noticed strange behavior in their cats just before bad weather strikes. Could there be more to this old wives' tale than meets the eye? Did you know there are animals that also help us predict the weather? Squirrels, too, have their own role in predicting winter's wrath. When these creatures build their nests lower in the trees, it is said to signal a long, hard winter. Conversely, when they build higher, a milder season is expected. The idea behind this tale makes sense. Squirrels instinctively seek protection when harsher conditions are on the way. While science hasn't fully explained this behavior, many believe it's a clue from nature that we shouldn't ignore. What do you think? Have you noticed any signs in nature that seem to predict the weather? Share your thoughts in the comments below. While we often look to the skies for signs of what's to come, the ground beneath our feet can offer clues as well. Have you ever noticed how the presence or absence of dew in the morning might signal a change in the weather? According to old folklore, if the grass is dry in the morning when dew is expected, it could mean that rain is on the way. Dew forms on calm, clear nights when the air cools enough for moisture to condense. But if there's no dew, it could indicate cloud cover or wind, both of which can prevent dew from forming and often signal an incoming storm. Farmers have used this simple observation for centuries to prepare for changes in the weather. Now, let's turn our attention to the sky. For centuries, sailors and farmers alike have relied on a simple rhyme that holds a surprising amount of truth. You may have heard it before: red sky at night, sailor's delight. But what does this old saying really mean, and how can a colorful sunset predict the weather to come? Let's find out. Red sky at night, sailor's delight. Red sky in morning, sailor's warning. This age-old saying has been passed down through generations of sailors and farmers alike. And while it may sound like a whimsical rhyme, it actually holds some truth. A red sunset often signals high pressure in the atmosphere, which generally brings clear skies and pleasant weather. But a red sky in the morning could mean a low-pressure system is moving in, signaling storms ahead. It's one of those old sayings that combines poetic imagery with real atmospheric science. Our journey through nature's signals wouldn't be complete without the sounds of the night. One of the most well-known nocturnal musicians is the cricket. But did you know these tiny creatures might be telling us more than just a song? Crickets are said to be a natural thermometer. According to an old belief, you can tell the temperature by counting the number of cricket chirps. In fact, there's some scientific truth to this. Crickets chirp faster when it's warm and slow down when the temperature drops. A common method is to count the number of chirps in 14 seconds and then add 40 to get an approximate temperature in Fahrenheit. It's a fascinating example of how even the smallest creatures reflect the world around them, offering insight into our environment. Another familiar tale involves our bovine friends. If cows are seen lying down in the field, it's believed that rain is on the way. The explanation behind this tale is that cows may be sensitive to changes in barometric pressure, which often drops before a storm. When they sense it, they lie down to preserve a dry spot of grass. While this remains speculative, many farmers swear by this old saying, observing their livestock as a natural barometer. But it's not just the larger animals that can give us clues about the weather. Some of the smallest creatures in the natural world have their own unique ways of predicting what's ahead. Take bees, for example. Old folklore suggests that when bees remain close to their hive and avoid venturing out, it's a sure sign that bad weather is on the way. Bees, like many animals, seem to have an instinctive sense of atmospheric changes. If a storm is coming, they stay home, safe in their hive. Although science hasn't fully explained this behavior, many farmers still swear by this old belief when watching their beehives. Now, let's look to the skies once more, but this time not for clouds or colors. What can our feathered friends tell us about the weather? As it turns out, birds have been nature's weather forecasters for centuries, and their behavior might just hold the clues we need. When birds fly low to the ground, old wives' tales say it's a sure sign of bad weather. And interestingly enough, this one might have some truth to it. When atmospheric pressure drops ahead of a storm, it's harder for birds to fly at higher altitudes. Instead, they stay closer to the ground, making it easier to fly. Over time, this simple observation has become a reliable weather warning in rural areas. As we continue to explore nature's hidden signs, we don't have to look far. Sometimes, the trees themselves provide clues about what's coming. Pine cones, with their layered, woody scales, are believed to open up when dry weather is ahead and close tightly before rain. This old wives' tale is actually rooted in science. Pine cones react to humidity in the air, opening up to release their seeds in dry conditions, and closing to protect them when moisture is present. It's a small, subtle sign, but it's one that has been used for generations by those who know how to read nature's cues. As we journey further into these time-honored tales, we turn our gaze once again to the night sky. But this time, it's not the colors that catch our attention. Have you ever noticed a ring around the moon? According to old folklore, this glowing halo holds a secret about the weather that's soon to come. Look up at the night sky, and if you ever see a halo or a ring around the moon, know that it might be signaling rain. This phenomenon happens when light from the moon is refracted by ice crystals in high, thin clouds, often a precursor to rain or snow. These cirrostratus clouds are usually followed by storms, making this one of the more reliable old weather sayings. Not all weather predictions come from the ground or the skies. Sometimes the wind itself has something to say. But what can the direction of the wind tell us about the coming weather? Old sailors and farmers believed that winds from the east were a sure sign of storms. And while this may sound like another piece of folklore, it turns out there's truth in it. Easterly winds often accompany low-pressure systems, which can bring storms and rain. In fact, even today, meteorologists observe wind patterns as a key part of predicting weather. So, the next time you feel an eastern breeze, it might be wise to keep an umbrella handy. But it's not just what we see in the sky that can warn us of what's to come. Sometimes it's what we hear that carries the most surprising clues. In the heart of winter, when the air is cold and still, a sudden clap of thunder can be more than just startling. According to an old saying, thunder in winter means snow is near. But is there truth behind this booming prediction? Thunder during winter is rare, but when it happens, old wives' tales say that snow is on the way. This one is based on the idea that certain weather patterns that cause thunder in winter are often followed by snowfalls. While it doesn't happen every time, there is some truth to the connection between winter thunder and snowy conditions. While the skies and sounds of nature may offer their clues, the ground beneath our feet holds its own secrets. As autumn arrives and the trees prepare for winter, they leave behind a trail of signs. One of the most curious? A heavy fall of acorns. According to tradition, when the trees drop more acorns than usual, it means a harsh winter is coming. But could these small seeds really foretell the future? The thinking is that trees may instinctively produce more food to help wildlife prepare for the difficult months ahead. Whether it's instinct or coincidence, many swear by this as an indicator of what's to come. Now, as we wrap up our journey through nature's signals, there's one more curious tale to consider. It doesn't come from the skies or the animals around us, but from something far more humble, the onion. According to an old saying, the thickness of onion skins can predict how harsh or mild the winter will be. Thin skins, mild winter. Thick skins, a cold and rough one. But how much truth is really wrapped up in this age-old belief? It is easier to remember this old wives' tale by remembering the lyric, "Onion skins very thin, mild winter coming in. Onion skins thick and tough, coming winter cold and rough." While there's no scientific evidence to support this idea, it's one of those fascinating examples of how closely people observe nature to draw conclusions about the future. We've explored the skies, the ground, and even the animals that live among us, but our amphibious friends have something to say about the weather too. Have you ever noticed how frogs seem to croak louder right before a storm? According to folklore, when frogs croak more loudly than usual, rain is on its way. Some say this is because the frogs are responding to changes in humidity and pressure that signal an approaching storm. While this may not be a foolproof prediction, it's often observed that frogs become more active just before a rainstorm. Their croaking, though seemingly random, might just be a warning that wet weather is on the horizon. Our final stop in this journey through weather folklore takes us to a bird that has long been associated with mystery and superstition, the crow. But did you know that even their call is said to predict changes in the weather? According to old folklore, the number of times a crow caws can tell you what kind of weather to expect. One call might signify rain, while 2 or 3 could suggest clearer skies ahead. Crows have been watched for centuries as omens, their behavior linked to everything from good luck to bad weather. While science might not back this one up, many still listen closely to these birds, believing that their calls carry warnings about the days to come. Before we close, there's one more natural phenomenon that's worth paying attention to. Early morning mists. These low-lying fogs have long been thought to hold clues about the coming day. According to folklore, morning mist or fog often indicates that a clear day is ahead. It's believed that mist forms when there's enough moisture in the air, but it usually means that the skies will clear as the sun rises higher. Farmers have used this sign for generations, trusting the mist to tell them whether they can expect a dry, pleasant day. It's a peaceful, quiet weather indicator that's as much about observation as it is about prediction. And there you have it, nature's subtle and not so subtle ways of predicting the future. From the skies to the ground, from insects to plants, the world around us offers countless clues to what's coming, if only we know where to look. Thank you for joining us today on this journey through folklore and fact. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Buckeye Bloomstead for more fascinating stories and tips. Until next time, stay curious and keep an eye on the world around you.